It's been a hell of a week, but at least we still have all of our ears. This is The Week That Was. I'm Simon Brown. My co-host is Giulietta, Talevi, and joining us for our regular whinge, Sasfin Securities, David Shapiro, Vestact's Khumalo. David, let's start with you. And Monday, we saw highs on the JSE, and it turned out there was some finger trouble, and we gave it all back Tuesday, Wednesday. Do you know what happened in markets?
I'm still trying to find out, because I know that the volumes round about just before the close, we were in negative territory, and within a few minutes, suddenly I think 15 billion rands went through in the closing auction, even more.
Yep.
That increased value traded by a massive amount and pushed the market up 1%, and no one could tell me the reason, but apparently there was finger trouble, and I think it's being unwound over the last couple of days. But no official publication of what really happened or official knowledge of what happened. So and lots of volume.
You know, we do rely on you for the inside story. I mean, this is very
yes.
This is dereliction of duty. Bright.
I found the story, but I couldn't find the reasons why it happened.
Well, look around and see who's missing their fingers.
Bright, I wanted to ask you, one of the questions that came through on Stockwatch this week was, is the trade now short NASDAQ, long the Dow, being kind of short hyped up new growth stocks and long old school? That seemed to be the trade this week, but do you think that's a temporary phenomenon?
Right?
Yes, I have no clue what's going on. The network is up and down.
Oh, yes, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Giulietta, I think that I keep asking the question about that, whether you should go along the Dow. Bright can come in now. Giulietta asked whether the trade is short the NASDAQ, go long of the Dow, and or go long of the Russell. I'm adding there, and I keep asking, what does going long of the Russell mean? Buying a grocer in Tennessee or a motor car distributor in Kansas City? I don't know what it means. Am I going to give up all those wonderful high-tech companies to do something like that? I just think this is temporary. I think there's been some big selling, but I'm not quite sure what's behind some of the selling that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point there. I think, though, you and I, David, we're not the right people to actually talk about trades, getting in on this, rotating to that. We're the wrong people. Maybe Simon can jump in here and help us. But in terms of buying the Russell, I mean, that's always been the trade. It was the main trade coming out of the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. That trade didn't pay off. It's the same trade that was, being touted as the one to do coming out of COVID, because everything else was expensive because COVID favored technology. Again, if you bought the Russell, you would have seen your net worth go down north of 33%, while the market went up higher, north of 80% in that period. So I don't know, man. I'm not one to like smaller companies. Because it's unfortunate, because the S&P 500, even the S&P 500 itself, basically about 80% of the returns come from the top 10, top 15. So it's tough.
Yeah, I've owned the Russell.
Smaller trade.
I've owned the Russell.
There's always 3 weeks here and there where people get excited, but that's about it.
Yeah, I've owned the Russell 3 times in 15 years. I have lost money 3 times in 15 years, so I'm staying with Bright's theory.
Well, also making news this week. Yeah, David, last word there.
I did pick up a story, and because once more, you look for the solution. Why, when you're getting such good results that came out of Taiwan Semiconductor, really good results coming out of ASML, we saw this massive selling, and I don't think it's got anything to do with the threat of the US government on supplying advanced technology to China. But what I did pick up as a headline is that there's been massive selling by Chinese, funds, of US stocks and of US bonds. That makes sense. It kind of matches the style that we've seen, rather than this great rotation trade. It does seem to be some big seller out there just offloading US stocks. Okay. So I'm going to go with that story rather than the rotation story.
Okay. Well, also making news this week, Leicester and the Hawks rule the roost, so there'll be no cuts for we the indebted just yet. Bell and Sasfin scamper off into the happy sunset of private hands. The Chinese are not winning gold at the GDP Olympics anymore, and chip makers are in the sniper sights. Cyril's got a hard-on for hard hats. Pick and Pay's rights offer is away, and Biden has COVID and a democratic rebellion. But let's start with the magnetic MAGA man, Donald Trump, assassination survivor and likely 47th president of the United States. Now with added hillbilly power, we have to ask, is God a Republican? I don't want to offend the religious out there, but I'm sure the two of you have been watching the Republican convention. What do you make of it all? And also, of course, the shocking events of Sunday. Bright.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just think it's unfortunate if it really was an assassination attempt. I mean, it feels like the 40s again, where presidents' lives were always at risk. And this is 2024. I'm glad, how the threat was nipped in the bud happened, because there could have been many different alternatives of how this could have ended. But talking about God being Republican, of course he is, because, what the hell is going on in the world currently?
Oh, we are veering into politics and religion.
Somebody save us.
I just have one more question for everyone out there. Has anyone tried to turn the world on and off? To see if it's gonna work properly?
Well, isn't that what CrowdStrike is doing
rice
right
or
now?
something?
David, you watched some of Trump's acceptance speech early this morning, as did I. I got to say, apart from Hulk Hogan tearing off his shirt, it was long, boring, and low energy.
Yeah, Simon, what's quite incredible, just thinking about it, is just how he's captured or recaptured the Republican Party. When he lost the election, I don't know how many indictments he's had and how many impeachments, how many different cases he has against, how much he's paid in fine. And yet, here's this man. And it's his whole family. This is him. The Republican Party doesn't exist in its old form anymore. This is it. And, with rock and roll singers, I don't think, rock and roll singers, Hulk Hogan, it looks like WrestleMania. It seems to be the whole crowd. That's the Republican Party. And you've got to ask questions, where does this go? I think the one person who has made an incredible impression is J.D. Vance. And, here's mini-me. Here he comes, and this is the future president of the United States. So I think we're going to have to watch out for it. He's far cleverer than Trump.
Yeah.
He wrote a book that everybody's now reading or watching the movie. So the poor Democrats, right? I don't know what this poor man's going to do, Biden. I don't know how he's going to dig himself out of this one.
He's going to quit. And of course, we forget to mention Amber Rose was there. She of slut walk shame in LA. Yeah. As for our own nation state, well, Cyril said all the nice things, but maybe this time we actually do believe him.
From our largest metros to our deepest rural areas, we have a clear intention to turn our country into a construction site. We want to see yellow equipment, throughout our country, and cranes and roads being built, as well as dams, as well as bridges, houses, schools, hospitals, including broadband fiber that will be laid out as new power lines are installed.
Look at all those happy DA members clapping. They have to.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you get John Floppe saying, oh, the DA wrote the speech. But, the fact that the focus could now be on growth surely is a good thing.
Oh, it has to be. We have to grow the economy. I love these kind of speeches because, you've got to look at the balance sheet. I've also got great ambitions of building a nice mansion on Laguna Beach in California, or even down in Clifton. You know, I've got these great, but you've got to have money to do some of these things. I also want to put up cranes and everything. And I think Cyril's got to now start focusing on how he makes the economy grow. Not, and for me, that's the most important thing. What's industrial policy going to be? And that's where we're going to see the clash of heads, ideology against this need to grow. That's going to test the GNU. You know, are they going to give up some of the policies that have really been the mainstay of, you know, of the ANC? They can do it, but there's going to be a lot of give, and I think it's going to cause a lot of issues.
Simon, Bryce, anything further to say? I mean, if you
a lovely speech, but we've heard it before.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah. So let's wait and see.
Okay, well, you know, it's been a busy week when Lesetja is item 4 on the menu, but that's probably where central bankers belong, unless, of course, they cut rates and then we can lavish them with love, but not this time round.
You've got to look at South Africa relative to its peers. Our inflation outlook says that inflation will decline towards target. If you take the G20 countries at the moment, South Africa has the second highest inflation within the G20. So our policy stance still has some way to go in terms of reining in inflation, and that is why members of the committee felt that the current monetary stance is appropriate to deal with the inflation as forecast, as well as dealing with the attendant risks that we had assessed to be on the upside in respect of inflation.
Brat, I'll come to you. Why do these members of the Monetary Policy Committee hate us so much?
I think they're being very conservative here. But like you and I and Giulietta, we still have bonds and stuff. We're struggling. Sorry, you recently moved, so you sold your house.
Yeah, I don't have a bond anymore, but still.
Yeah, but it would have been very nice if there was a small cut. I don't know, 25 basis point. You know, just, I don't throw us some beans, something, man. But yeah, you know, we remain hopeful as South Africans. We remain very positive. We look, you know, to a future that looks better. But even though things don't look promising at the current moment, it's the same with, you know, our expectations of interest rate. We always say, in the future we'll get, you know, 0.5 percentage point of, you know, relief. At what cost? I mean, in 2 years, 3 years, we've seen this thing increase so much. But I still remain positive for some reason. It's just hard having some form of leverage in South Africa in rands. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very expensive.
Data from Rule of Botha, the current interest rates are costing South African households with a debt 50,000 a year extra on their bond. After the break, bye-bye Bo, hello no paid letters, and a new one for the record books. But don't tell your kids.